We're gonna do this show called Florida Man. 7 episodes, 50 minutes apiece. Let's just get it, episode 1. So we run across this dude named Mike, right? He starts off at his AA meetings, but he's not there for alcohol, he's there for gambling. A whole year goes by, he ends up meeting up with this dude named Gil, right, at the hardware store. And he's there looking for hammers basically to break this man's leg. And Gil's like, yo, I'll pay you in 2 weeks. See, the thing is, Mike works for this dude named Moss Yancum. And he owes him some money. Therefore, you know what I'm saying, gambling addiction. Gil owes Moss money too, about 200 grand. So while Mike is chasing that to the dude, Gil trips over something. He ends up breaking his old leg. So he's like, see, this is what you get. So Mike really didn't have to do anything. Then we see him in the bar talking to this girl named Iris, right? Now, I guess Iris used to be his ex-wife or whatever. So we find out Iris actually works for the DEA. I'm like, so the thing is, she kind of needs Mike's help for some reason. Mike tries to give her a ring because he owes her or whatever like that. But then the thing is, he's trying to really get her back. And she's like, see, I knew you was up to some shit. The thing is, the department is trying to do an investigation on Moss. So she needs Mike's help on that. Mike is like, come on, yo. Then we get the situation where Gil is talking to Moss. He keeps talking about some buried treasure he's going to find in a couple of weeks. He's going to be able to pay him back. It's just like, really? But this treasure is supposed to be somewhere like Central Florida. Keep in mind, they're in Philly right now. So Moss basically ends up beating the shit out of Gil. He's like, yo, give me my 200 grand, yo, stop playing. Now, Moss is supposed to be going out with his girlfriend, Deli, because it's her birthday. It's like a 1-year anniversary, something like that. He ends up getting her a chain, but the thing is, it's got like a girl's hair in it. He's just like, really, dude? But she ain't even worried about that. She's worried about Moss always getting her like stolen goods. So she's pissed off. She storms out. So Moss gets Mike to be like, hey, go make sure she gets home safe. You know what I'm saying? So Mike ends up picking her up. She wants to get a coffee or whatever, but then she wants to go to this like dance spot. They dance for a little bit, and afterwards they get back in the car. Then Deli starts talking about, yeah, let's get on the highway. You know, we can go to Florida. She's like, Florida? The fuck? So you're thinking to yourself, why is she trying to escape to Florida? And the thing is, Mike doesn't want to go to Florida because he's actually from there and his family's there. He don't want to go back there. So we get the situation the next day where Moss calls up Mike. He was like, hey, yo, where the fuck is Deli at? Yo, she's gone. Turns out she ended up going to Central Florida, but how'd she get there? So the thing is, Moss got her this new Lamborghini to make up to her or whatever like that. But the thing is, she took the Lamborghini and dipped off. I'm like, what? Now, Moss found out because the Lamborghini's in his name. And when it crossed certain places, he was able to get the camera footage. So he's like, wow. So now Mike has got to go retrieve Deli from Florida. So he ain't got no choice but to go there. But here's the thing. So he tells Moss to take 50 grand off of my debt. So Moss is like, all right, but if you fail, I'm adding 100 G's to your debt. So he gets to Florida. He goes to this spot called Palms Hotel or whatever like that. But he makes Moss buy him a plane ticket because he's like, I'm not driving down to Florida. Then he gets there. He's chilling on the beach. He sees this girl about to drown. He tries to go save her or whatever like that. But she lost her top in the water or whatever like that. Then she claims Mike violated her. Mike was like, yo, I just tried to save you. I just saved your life, yo. You was about to drown. So he sees the top in the water. He goes back there to get the top right. Then all of a sudden, the shark comes out of nowhere. We're like, oh, shit. Next thing you know, he's waking up at the hospital. He's talking to his lady by the name of Patsy. Patsy's actually his sister. Turns out she actually works in the hospital. Now you're thinking to yourself, how did she even find Mike? Well, the video went out on the news about him getting bit by a daggone shark, and it got bit on his leg. So after he gets better, she basically wants him to come over and spend, have dinner with the family and whatnot. She got a daughter named Tyler and her husband, I can't remember his name. So now it's time for him to do his investigation. He ends up going to the police or whatever. He talks to his deputy by the name of Jim. Basically, he's going to get some information on the chick Deli West. So later on, while all this is going down, he gets a call from Iris, right? We find out Gil is done dead as shit. His body parts chopped up and everything. We're like, what the fuck? Turns out his body was found in Florida. Now, what the heck was Gil doing in Florida? Other than to try to get that sunken treasure, I guess. But how did he even get up there? So now we're thinking to ourselves, Moss and his boys did this or somebody, right? So later on, Mike is talking to Patsy, and he's not really being able to get nowhere to find Deli. So basically, she makes him turn to the one person he doesn't want to turn to. His dad, who used to be the head police chief of all of Florida. I'm like, what? So the thing is, he's going to help him try to find some things out about Deli too. So then he gets to the gas station, he gets a call from Moss, and he's like, you know what, bottom line? If I find Deli and return to the bottom lines, we square, right? Moss reluctantly ends up agreeing with him. Later on, Mike talks to the deputy, and it turns out deputy actually found the car that she was in. And he gives him the information on the car. So he goes to the car, right? Because basically she just abandoned that shit. Now he doesn't really find nothing inside the car, except for like a citation number or whatever. So now back to the gas station part where he was talking to Moss. After he gets off the phone with her, all of a sudden he sees Deli getting out of the car. He's like, what the fuck? She walks into the spot and comes out with this guy. Now it's time for the track-in. She ends up taking this guy to the spot, I guess it's called the Seawater Lodge. It's basically like a little cabin or whatever. So they get in the house, and while Mike's following her, all of a sudden he hears a gunshot. She's like, what the fuck? We go in the house and see Deli lying on the bed, done dead as shit, laying in a pool of blood. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is Mike going to do now? Mike ends up getting the phone, getting a purse, and then dipping out or whatever like that. But the thing is, Mike was being spied on by one of his dad's associates. I'm like, what? The crazy thing is the next day when they come through there, the spot is cleaned out, yo. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? It's just clean. So basically, the police don't have no evidence or proof of nothing. Now, I guess there was a lady in the distance that owns a lodge or whatever like that. Apparently, she could be a sketch artist or whatever like that. She started sketching out who she saw coming out of there. So Iris ends up calling Mike back again. He's like, "Yo, I keep hearing about all this shit going on in Florida. The fuck is the deal?" Obviously, he ain't telling her everything. Then he hears a story in the news about the guy Deli was with. Turns out this guy ended up stealing an ambulance truck, but the thing is, he's at the hospital, knocked out unconscious, yo. So technically, he's still alive. So now Mike needs the footage on the stolen ambulance. So he ends up talking to his dad later, and dad tells him we was following him. And so I was like, okay. So you're thinking to yourself, did the dad's associate clean up in that house? Turns out they didn't. So you're thinking to yourself, who the hell cleaned up the situation? So eventually Mike ends up calling Moss and telling her like, yo, Deli's dead. But the only reason he even tells him because he thinks it's a professional hit. He thinks that he actually has something to do with it. So Moss is like, why the fuck would I kill her if I want her back and then send you down there to get her? So certain shit ain't adding up, right? But here's the thing, when he finally gets the camera footage or whatever like that, they show the truck and nobody's in the truck. So towards the end of the episode, he's going back to the hotel he's staying in. But when he opens the door, Deli's laying on the fucking bed with a gun pointed at him. I'm like, how the hell is she still alive? Did she just stage her whole death? What happened to the guy she was with that got to the point where he got unconscious and laid up in the freaking bed hospital? What? I got so many questions off the jump, but obviously I'm at to watch the other 6 episodes because it's 7 episodes altogether. Mayhem. Florida Man on Netflix. Check that shit out immediately.